Assalamualaikum guys. So sorry for late response ya about the paradigm in communication theory. I would like to explain about the paradigm of communication theory and communication research. That actually we have three kind of paradigm. That the first one is positivism. The second one is interpretative or constructivism, and the third one is the criticism. Both of the interpretative or constructivism and the last criticism is belong to the post-positivism paradigm. So the first one is about positivism paradigm. This paradigm is about uh, uh, is about how to say paradigm that belong to quantitative research. Why? Because actually the research that belong to this paradigm is uh, should should has kind of real data. So the theory or the research based on this paradigm usually have to has real data. For example, for if we go to the research for COVID-19, we cannot say that someone, or we cannot say that Yogyakarta is the province that the highest death for the COVID victims, except that we have the data, the clear data that say that in Yogyakarta is has this kind of high level. So that's why some people say that positivism is kind of how to say um, how to say kaku, kaku atau sesuatu yang sangat ketat karena konteksnya mereka so sorry in bahasa, uh, because they actually try to reach for the objectivism, and they perceive that objectivism is based on the real data. That is the positivism. So when you say something, some research or some theories that 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 explain or okay, that explain about some real data and have to confirm with the real data and the real relativity. So it's belong to this paradigm, positivism, quantitative research. And the second paradigm is interpretative, or we can say it constructivism paradigm. This paradigm actually try to reconstruct the first paradigm that say that something is have to be objective. In this in interpretative or constructivism paradigm, the scholars perceive that uh, anybody have a value, have a kind of um, beliefness, uh, or have the background whenever they um, whenever they see something, or grading something, or write something or do something. For example, when I'm a researcher, when Maida is a researcher, and I want to research about K-pop. How is the perspective of uh, the fandom is the fan base of K-pop to the product that use K-pop artists, or celebrity for endorsement. So uh, in this part, in the interpretative or constructivism paradigm, the scholar perceived that the researcher itself has kind of value to construct. So sorry. In this, so based on that research, the in this paradigm or constructivism or interpretative, the research will also judge that they have kind of value to build the research, ya. Jadi gampangnya gini, I try to speak in bahasa to make you clear ya. Jadi konteksnya bahwa di penelitian atau di paradigma interpretatif dan konstruktivisme ini, pandangan ini menyatakan bahwa tidak ada sesuatu yang bebas nilai. There is nothing that free of value, ya. So there will no objectivism, kind of like that, ya. Jadi sesuatu itu dipandang sebagai subjektif, ya, sehingga paradigma ini mengatakan bahwa sesuatu itu akan terkait dengan pandangan seseorang, akan terkait dengan subjektivisme seseorang dalam melihatnya. So whenever I say that, whenever I'm become a researcher and seorang researcher tentang pengaruh penggunaan perspektif mahasiswa atau mahasiswa pecinta K-pop terhadap produk yang di-endorse oleh artis K-pop, ya, selebriti K-pop, itu konteksnya I have a value why I do this research. Ada sesuatu yang ingin saya kembangkan, ada keinginan, ada tujuan atau purpose, ya. Bahwa sesuatu itu dikonstruk oleh manusia. There are something constructed of human being, ya. Jadi tidak ada sesuatu yang tiba-tiba jadi kayak gitu. Di pandangan itu seperti ini, sehingga namanya konstruktivism, ya. Sesuatu itu pasti dikonstruk atau dibuat oleh manusia gitu, sehingga dan ketika itu dibuat, when it's built or created by the human, then they have a value, they have a purpose to build it. Untuk apa? Oh, aku mau memajukan tentang, atau aku bikin K-pop ini famous, aku mau bikin keluhan tentang K-pop misalnya, sehingga ada research tentang itu. Ketika misalnya Mbak Ida bilang misalnya COVID persebarannya seperti apa, ini bagaimana track recordnya, misalnya perkembangannya sejauh ini, atau solusinya seperti apa, then I do the research about how to do something preventive about COVID-19. So data yang so the data that I collect through this paradigm is based on the interview, the deep interview, ya. So the research belong to this paradigm biasanya akan bisa dikatakan valid dengan hanya melakukan wawancara kepada seseorang narasumber yang ahli di bidangnya, tapi we go to the deepest, not go widely, tidak melebar, tapi go to the deep. For example, when I want to research about how to prevent and how to do a best campaign about COVID-19, then I go to something that have the power, ya, misalnya bidang tertentu yang terkait dengan COVID-19, misalnya gimana sih penularannya, sehingga konteksnya saya, Mbak Ida, go to the doctor that knows about COVID-19 dan bagaimana keluhannya, kemudian apa yang harus dilakukan, kemudian apa yang harus ditindaklanjuti ketika misalnya sudah mewabah seperti ini, sudah tersebar, apakah hanya dengan cuci tangan dan makan sehat saja atau ada cara lain yang harus kita lakukan. Itu adalah go to the deep, tidak melebar, tidak meluas gitu. Jadi makanya di sini paradigma ini dikatakan interpretatif karena based on the interpretative of someone. Ketika sesuatu itu di-create, berarti sesuatu itu berdasarkan pernyataan atau pemikiran atau interpretative of someone gitu. Paham ya teman-teman ya? Nanti kalau nggak paham boleh komen di komentar ya. Kemudian the last is the criticism paradigm. In this paradigm, actually this also belong to the post-positivism paradigm, because in this paradigm they perceive that there is no objectivism, because something is also created by by the human. Tapi lebih jauh dari interpretatif sama konstruktivism ya. Kalau di pandangan kritis ini, the scholars that build this paradigm perceive that we need to deconstruct atau membongkar the ideology that had been built by the scholar before, bahwa paradigma ini membantu untuk membongkar ideologi-ideologi yang sudah ada ya, sehingga konteksnya adalah kenapa ini harus dibongkar, karena mereka inginnya, they want to criticism the something happen in this reality, in nowadays reality. Misalnya konteksnya, kenapa sih kita pemerintah di Indonesia tidak menutup akses pintu masuk di Indonesia, sekeliling Indonesia kayak gitu, misalnya dengan adanya penyebaran COVID, harusnya kan ditutup. Nah kayak gitu, harusnya kan seperti ini. Kenapa seperti ini? Oh, karena konteksnya negara kita based on ideologi demokrasi, atau ada based on yang menjalankan eksekutifnya, sehingga keputusan tertinggi tetap berada di eksekutif, walaupun misalnya rakyat meminta, tapi konteks kebijakan akan jatuh lagi-lagi kepada pertimbangan eksekutif. Nah, sedangkan eksekutif sampai sekarang belum memutuskan nih, kita ketok palu untuk tutup semua gerbang perbatasan. Nah, konteks ini bisa masuk ke pandangan kritisism ya. So or some others theory that based on this paradigm is Karl Marx, that we have explained before in the previous class, in the meeting class actually. Karl Marx tried to like deconstruct the situation on the past, that why there is a classes in the social life ya. Kenapa sih ada kelas buruh, kelas bangsawan kayak gitu. Bagaimana strukturnya kelas itu berjalan, kenapa seperti ini. Akhirnya ideologi-ideologi yang ada di waktu itu dicoba untuk dibongkar untuk mencari solusi atas jawaban keadaan yang sekarang. That is the criticism paradigm. So the theories that based on this paradigm, especially they want to something like do a movement or kind of emancipation, try to search emancipatory to rebuild the situation like that. Okay guys, clear? For any other comment, please you can also correct me if I did mistaken. Okay, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Sehat ya semua ya.